say Friedler? We have a rabbi in Brooklyn, Friedler. Oh, I apologize. So, Rabbi, looking forward for many years. Den Lommer sind gesehnte Staat, and let us share and simplest only.
At one particular affair, to impress the audience of what a man Yisrael, a Rav, a Rabbi is supposed to be, they introduced me. They said, the Gemara says in Kedushin that if you see two stray animals, one belonging to your father and one belonging to your Rebbe, and you can only save one, which one should you pursue? And the Gemara says, this is how they introduced it. The Gemara says that you should pursue the animal belonging to your Rebbe. Why? Because you owe a debt of gratitude to your father. He brought you on this world. Your Rebbe brought you on the world to come. When I got to speak, I said I appreciate the very, very complimentary introduction, but when Eretz Yisrael, Palestine, was a British mandate, so there were many fatalities, fallen soldiers. Go start up with your Schleimer Eden. They couldn't police Eretz Yisrael, so they couldn't muster an army to police it. They were looking always to promote, to get soldiers to enlist. So they announced, they said that they promoted with the following slogan: enlist in the British Army and see the world. Some of those added to that amendment, see the next world. The sincerity, the ernstkeit of the genuine of each of the speakers in sincerity is a very special commodity. They say in Washington, for money you can buy anything, for money anything except sincerity. What a Jew, a Yid possesses. Through years under communism and Bolshevikism, there was a very severe decree, a gzera, which almost made Torah learning and Torah observance impossible. Yidden almost had to give up being Jews. So someone met a famous, generous philanthropist, Moshe Montefiore, a Russian officer, a Russian high officer. He says, Sir Montefiore, I heard that your wealth you're going to invest and spend on paying a ransom for each and every Russian Jew. Do you have enough money to ransom each and every Jew? So he said, Your Honor, he said, if I have to pay what I think the value of a Jew is, I'll never have that kind of money. But if I have to pay what you think a Jew is worth, I can take it off my back pocket. 15 years ago, a Yid here in the community, I told him to call him. 15 years ago, he came to me and he said, Rebbe, he says, you know, you're getting on in years. You have to think about a successor. I'm a Malamukim. So I told him, I went to visit in the community one of our neighbors here. And didn't arrive yet. He was in Staten Island, didn't arrive yet. There was a maintenance man working there. He comes over to me, "Oh, Rabbi, how are you?" I said, "We know each other." He said, "Certainly." He said, "When your children were small, my wife used to babysit your children." My name is John. I said, "Oh my goodness." Then he says to me, "Rabbi, you're still alive?" So I said, "What? I'm not that old." I said, "I'm only 107. He said, 107? I can't wait till I get home to tell my wife. Because my Rosh Yeshiva is a friend of Rabbi, who they gave him the name of being the Iyuv, the Job of Rosh Yeshivas, when he went through a Nazi persecution. The Chaim Moser, the leader of the generation, Rabbi Shel Chomei HaGoyim, was desperately ill, and it was his last days on this world. Those gathered around his bed, there were gathered the Gedolim, great Torah leaders, and he took my Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Gustman's of Racher, he took him by the lapel, and he said to him, "We see there's going to be a lot of Jewish bloodshed, but listen to me. All of these standing around my bed, those that are older than you, and those that are younger than you, you're going to outlive them." So, and to add words of comfort to Rav Chaim Moser, who was desperately ill, he said to Rabbi, he says, "You'll also outlive them." He said, "How do you make a statement like that? How do you know? How do you make a statement like that?" The difference was that if Rav Chaim Moser said it, and he had a revelation, he knew what he was saying. He had the shoulders. I don't know who we're going to outlive, but our intention is that each and every one of you here, together, united, we're going to greet Mashiach Tkenu Be'er Yameinu. Amen. I lost, in the last few years, 3 sisters. One of them just recently. Thank you. Who is Greengrass? Rebbetzin Greengrass. And one of the Shabbat brachas from my children, a speaker got up to say, he said, when I became a chosn, he was the manal of Biyana Yeshiva. He says, when I became a chosn, my college parents they suffered poverty in the extreme. And the only thing they could give me was 2 items, a gold watch and the Fishbain girls. This is what I lost in the last several years. To look around here, after what we endured in self-sacrifice and devotion, what we accomplished is incredible. In the words of Sori Menu, we could never envision that in 1975, when we opened up our doors, that we'd have such a tremendous turnout of such Torah Yidden, Erech Yidden, Talmidei Chachamim, Torah scholars, all sorts of people accomplished industrially and all throughout the world. We have a number of very good neighbors very special neighbors that we lost, and good friends. A special memorial tribute. But there's one memorial tribute that as much honor as we pay to him, our debt will never be repaid. He was for the righteous Gentiles of the world, Raoul Wallenberg. At 31 years old, undertook the task of rescuing Hungarian Jews with his Swedish diplomacy. He arrived in Hungary. And he immediately, the Germans weren't familiar with the Hungarian language, and he used all sorts of ruses to rescue 100,000 Hungarian Yidden. 100,000. This is what he took with him. And he went around, he jumped in his car, and the Germans couldn't read Hungarian, so to every Hungarian Yid, he told them, he says, I gave you yesterday your passport, give it to me, and get in line to go, you're a Swedish citizen. At first they didn't exactly fathom, but then they understood the ruse. The Germans couldn't read Hungarian, so they gave a driver's license, they gave an electric bill, whatever they gave him was good enough. He put in his pocket, they were on their way to life. That was a life certificate. And he continued handing out, taking these electric bills in Hungarian, and to save the life. He jumps in his car, and he's driving along, and he defied Eichmann. He told him, he said, don't you dare touch any of these people. At the end of the war, before the World Crimes Commission, you'll be tried for murder. And then, as he rode along, trying to save whoever he could see, and there were even 50, 60, 70 years old, thought that this would be, he would save them. They would remain alive. They would survive. He said, I'm sorry. He said, I can only take young people because I must save a nation. If Raoul Wallenberg, at 31 years old, could stake his life and say he wants to save a nation, how could we in 1975 turn our back on a community in White Lake when there are 6 million who are crying from their graves? We died once in the flesh. Let us not die again in the spirit. That's what our work is all about. I made a little girl who spent the summer here with her mishpacha, and she found her way to our Besmedrish. She felt close to our Besmedrish, to our mishpacha. This was July, August, and she had a problem. She needed foot surgery. In January 10th, 11th, 10:30 at night, there's Rabbi says, I have a quick call from Rusk Institute Rehab Center. A young girl, she was so accepted, she calls up with tears in her eyes. She said she hadn't had a visitor. She was in Bensonhurst. She hadn't had a visitor for 3 days. So she called us. She's so lonely. She called us to take away living in Bensonhurst. She called us your wife. And Simchas Torah, to save a community. And Simchas Torah, by each hakofe, we don't have 200, 300 people, but the oil that's here to recharge them with fresh blood, the dancing by hakofes. So I say a few words between each hakofe. I was getting ready to speak by the fourth hakofe, and someone walks over to me, a Peter Spiegel, and says, Rabbi, can I say something? I said, certainly, Peter. He said, yesterday I was here, Shmini Atzeres, to say memorial prayers for my mother. You gave me the honor of binding the Torah together. I gave him glue. I went home, I didn't go to sleep until I bound the Torah to my heart. Rabbi, please teach me Torah to save a community. On Labor Day, when we're bald from both sides, this wonderful, wonderful community, summer community, they leave, and our winter residents are still tying up the loose ends of their business. So we're short for Armenian per mincha. I went out looking for a 10th one for me. On the lake I saw someone fishing a Jerry Blecker, and I said to him, he said, Yom Kippur, he said, you came on Yom Kippur. I went over to him, I said, Jerry, I said, we have someone on Rentalna, Sigur, Armenian, Kaddish, online, but I told myself, we have someone has to recite Kaddish for his mother, and we short one. I said, could you maybe spare only 25 minutes? He said, how could I do something like that? He said, but I can't read Hebrew. How can I participate? I said, Jerry, you don't know the value of a Jew in the eyes of the Almighty. When 10 Jews gather together, there's a divine presence. That's all we need. He said, this I must see myself. Really. So he came, and like in the Shulchan magazine article, it mentioned the word of friendly advice. If you're in the White Lake area and the skies are growing dark, head for the Medrash. For short, mincha Droshi. You may laugh, you may cry. You may be inspired, you may learn something new. But one thing is certain, you'll never regret it. It had all of those ingredients. After Myrie came over to me, he said, Rabbi, even when you have more than 10, it's okay if I come? Not a problem. I said, certainly. Judaism, the mitzvahs, learning Torah, Tashkei, Shabbos, began to grow on him. And he didn't leave this world until he became a Shemer Torah mitzvahs. He was very gifted with his pen, and he wrote a little poem. He wrote, I was out fishing as the sun was about to set. For trout, for bass, for something to get. The rabbi was out fishing too, but not for trout, but rather for a Jew. I laid down my rod because I was the Jew. Thank you, dear Rabbi, for introducing me to a world so meaningful and new. Are we, my friends, are we deserving of your support? Until 4 years ago, we were here for 40 years without a Sefer Torah. Without a Sefer Torah that was our own and that was kosher. That you could, that was written especially brand new. Finally, through the efforts of the very special individuals that are here tonight, we finally got our new Sefer Torah. Go dedicate, I'm going to punish for only Sefer that's possible. Sefer that you can't, it's not valid. It's not an empty shell. It's not that you come in here with icy hearts and you leave on thought. When you leave here, it has to move you. We have an Oren Kodesh that could be dedicated, and it'll be a great honor, a great Maskeres Netzach, everlasting memory. Whoever can dedicate that Oren Kodesh. Imagine 40 years without a kosher secretary. We began a reconstruction program, and we're in the middle, and in the middle is worse than without starting, because there's parts that are beginning to rot, they're exposed to the elements. This needs help. That's what we're asking for. We so appreciate your attention at this late hour. We always say, late to bed and early to rise, not late, early to rise, early to it has to be early to rise and late to go to bed. Late to go to bed. That's what they accomplish. We ask for all of your help to continue with the work. Bravo, we're one to save a nation. A whole nation, 100,000 Yidden, we wanted to save. We want to save one community. In closing, there's the captain of the ship. I get up, I speak to him. But there's behind the scenes, the captain, who gives away so much of her efforts and her energy, and that's why everything that takes place here, because of her, my dear Rabbi, please give her a hand. There's also a very unassuming gentleman who has difficulty in really earning a living. And he brought 3 of his workers here to make sure that all of this magnificent lighting, it looked like one of the most magnificent halls that you can attend. He spent a full day here with all his workers, Rachamim, Glanstein, hundreds of dollars in time and equipment. Thank you, each and every one of you, for coming here and being with us, especially our dear, dear friend, Dr. and Mrs. David Leib and Peggy Fuchs. Thank you very much. The whole crowd came because of you, David Leib, not because of me. And also because Chaim Velvel and Sergei Pustiko. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you Shlomo Darshan. Shlomo, please come forward, our master.